So this is another Brawl modding tutorial. We'll be continuing from our last tutorial, Introduction to Codes, and we'll be editing the same test code that we did, which had the edit for Wi-Fi waiting room is Rumble Falls. So we go GCT edit, and in this we go open GCT, that thing that I told you to do, but we couldn't because we hadn't done anything yet. In the last one, open up your GCT, which is the test code, and as you can see, we have our code right there. Now, a code that we're going to be adding is the trip rate modifier, and what that does is, you know how normal Brawl, sometimes you trip for no reason? That's not cool. That is not cool. That is quite lame. I don't like it. So this sets that to 0. So you will never trip randomly, but moves that make you trip, like banana peel or one of Peach's things, those will make you trip. So once you make sure that it's all one line, add the code, and it will add it as another unknown code, or no tripping, I guess. It knows what it is, and that's great. So that's one of the codes we added. This is another great one. No stale moves. Brawl does this thing where it has a queue of 10 most recently used moves, and the damage is reduced for each time you reuse that move if it's in the queue. So for example, if Mario uses his fireball 10 times, the 10th time it will do much less damage than the first time. And what you actually need to do in Brawl is to clear your queue by using different moves, and that will get the most damage out of each of your hits. So if you keep using the same moves over and over, it does not reward you. But we don't like that either, because we want it to be very balanced. We want people to be able to not change their strategy for the game. We want to be able to build strategies. So we're going to add the no stale moves code. And we'll get into these other codes in a bit. This is going to be a cool next section. And that one. This is another great one. Colored shields. What this does is, if you've ever noticed in Brawl, the shields are very faint. They're kind of lackluster. This code makes them much darker around the edges and much more intense, which makes you know when you're shielding a lot more. It doesn't sound like much, but it really helps the game kind of flow. But since this is a pretty long code, it does take a while to delete everything. And be careful. See, I just deleted a 0 there. And if you accidentally delete something, double check that you deleted the right thing, because if you put the wrong number in there, it's obviously going to result in some errors, impossibly not work at all, or worse. So just make sure that all of these are absolute last. Add the code. And so those are all the codes we're going to do this time. Actually, let's do one more. This is another stage type mod, and this is, you know, Skyworld, the pit stage? You know how those platforms on the clouds can break? That's kind of distracting from a intense match. What this code does is it makes them break instantly and never spawn again, except for the ones that can't break. And this actually made this stage one of my favorites, just by playing on it without the actual garbage of those platforms making it very confusing and whatnot. So I would suggest using this one. There's another code out there that makes Luigi's Mansion permanently broken. I would also suggest that one, because those two ghost platforms that are just on the edge, and sometimes there's a platform in the middle, that actually makes that stage really nice and a lot of fun, as opposed to a really constricting, horrible level that Luigi's Mansion is. So add this code if you want. You don't have to add any of these. You don't have to do anything. But yeah, so those are the 3 codes we added. The no tripping, colored shields, and Skyworld platforms. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you're getting more comfortable with adding codes to Brawl, and check out my soon to come tutorial about camera angles.